Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here from the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook on Monday the 2nd of December. Something we've not seen for a while is a distinct westerly pattern that's in charge during this week. Stormy conditions coming in with that at times, especially through the second half of the week. Temperatures will be up and down as a series of warm and cold fronts go through, but indications further ahead favour some colder conditions returning. Let's just show you the sequence on the temperature chart, and this starting off just jumping forwards to Thursday, and it's where we've got quite a distinct warm sector moving through. This at 850 millibars, representing about the highest tops in Scotland. Add a 0 to the numbers on the white background, and that's the height above sea level. So it's mild air that's in on Thursday as wind and rain sweeps through. Freezing levels, though, will start to drop as a cold front clears southwards into Friday and really ushers in some chillier air for Friday onwards into the start of Saturday, but the next bump of a warm front is likely just to nose its way in, lifting temperatures towards or just above freezing towards the highest Scottish tops. Then it looks like another cold front will come through and temperatures will fall again as we go through the weekend, and once that comes in, it may well leave us under colder air more continuously on into next week. So some variations for the time being. Let's take you through the charts to see how the pattern unfolds. For Tuesday, high pressure is toward the south. We've got a southwesterly flow that's affecting Scotland. The strongest winds around northwestern coasts. We've got quite an inversion setup that's likely, so there is some very damp, low cloud air that's hanging around across many western coastal mountains, but a fair chance that many of the higher tops, all the way across from Scotland to Northern England and Wales, may well find themselves above any banks of lower level cloud. Always a tricky one to get the absolute height of an inversion, but it does look as though it's low enough to get the higher tops in the clear. A bit of foehn effect as well, where the air mass crosses the mountains and becomes warmed as it compresses and descends across the lee slopes, may well mean that some eastern parts of the Highlands see some quite relatively mild temperatures with this sort of setup. Things changing though, we lose the inversion into Wednesday for most places as a cold front starts to come in from the Atlantic. A period of heavy rainfall then across the western mountains of Scotland. Patchier rain further east. That front will sink southeastwards with time, so some rain turning up and becoming more persistent for the lakes and into Snowdonia as the day unfolds. Behind the front will become chillier air, freezing levels will tend to drop, some showers will follow, and those will become of snow or hail again across western Scotland later on in the day. A windy picture. It looks like gale force winds across many mountains, particularly in Scotland. And those winds will only get stronger through into Thursday. It looks as though it's the windiest day of the week at this stage. It looks a pretty severe day, it must be said, for much of the Highlands. We've got wind speeds easily 60-70 miles per hour. Wouldn't be surprised to see some top gusts at 90 or even 100 on the very highest summits. We'll watch the observations on, say, Annaghmore and Cairngorm for that one for Thursday. Relentless, heavy torrential rain as well coming in to the West Highlands on the conveyor belt of moisture that comes in off the Atlantic. Much less of that rainfall further east and relatively patchier rain for England and Wales, but those fronts will again move through as the day is going on. So some rain is likely for Snowdonia and the lakes. Still windy into Friday, maybe not quite as severe as Thursday, but still a risk of gales across many mountains, particularly in Scotland. The cold front sinking southwards, bit of uncertainty on the timing of that one. It may leave a legacy of rain across England and Wales and pulses of showers that follow, and some frequent showers across western mountains in Scotland. Those back to falling of some snow and some hail across the higher mountains. Fewer showers the further east you go across the Highlands. Absolute detail and timing naturally is uncertain as we're a few days ahead into the weekend. It looks as though a brief ridge of higher pressure tries to build, but treat the chart with some caution. We need to watch how soon the next fronts start to move in from the Atlantic. So for Saturday at this stage, we may have a bit of a window of opportunity, but keep an eye on your forecasts. One way or the other, it looks as though those fronts will sweep through fairly quickly into Sunday, so that's the uncertainty we have with absolute timing at this stage. It leaves a legacy of a chilly westerly airflow which brings clusters of showers into many western mountains, and those again of some snow and some hail. Could be quite a lively day with the temperatures higher up in the atmosphere quite a bit colder. It generates instability and those showers quite potent then with the risk of hail and thunder. So quite a fast-moving weather sequence through the weekend and maybe even beyond as areas of low pressure sweep through. It looks as though there's still some fluctuations of temperatures, although I suspect as time goes on we may find that the colder patterns are the ones that win, with low pressure that passes between Scotland, Iceland and Scandinavia eventually starting to draw in more of a north by northwesterly feed. This into the early and perhaps even middle part of next week, this chart averaging out things quite a bit, but it's the suggestion of that colder source to the air that's coming around that low and generally a drop of freezing levels then. At this stage, I'm playing it a bit cautious. It's one of those where we could promise a really distinctly cold spell coming in, and it doesn't quite get there. So let's just see where this one goes. There's the prospect of going into a colder pattern through this middle part of December. It may well become quite extensive, so one really to keep an eye on, one to prepare for, one to look at developing over this next week ahead. The stage just treated with a hint of caution. So we'll leave it there for today. Quite turbulent conditions then in the later part of this week to be aware of on the mountains. We'll update you again on Thursday with the next video with the outlook for the weekend and beyond into next week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.